America. Like I say, America, what is America? This country, pretty much, they changed their name at some point in time. Like I say, they were calling themselves the Republic or George Washington. Like George Washington named the country after himself or something like that. There were a couple presidents. Like I said, bought America, and then a couple people started running it or managing it for me. Like I wasn't really paying attention. I was building Europe. And then basically, some people were saying that America was whatever, blah, 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 blah. Or the Republic, or George Washington, country of George Washington. They actually tried to rename my country George Washington. And like I say, I had helped out Mexico. And I knew the girl in Mexico. Like I say, mwah, Mexicans, be proud. She was one fierce, just like amazing. Like if I wish you could have known her. Like there is like this goddess of Mexico. She was beautiful. She was gorgeous. She was incredibly smart and fierce. She really knew how to shoot a gun really well, and she had like 2 or 3 men like dangling from her fingertips. And she was just, she had been chained down once to the floor, and my men had got in there. I think it was with my Irish workers. Like I was putting in a water system in Mexico, and the Irish came, and the Irish are the kind of group that they're like, well, we're paid to do the job, and we're going to do the job. It don't matter who's in our way. So, like I say, Truman or somebody like that was what was in Mexico, and they were causing a nightmare. Like they're chaining people down and then charging people for a use of the. And anyway, this girl of Mexico was one of the girls chained down, and she was incredibly beautiful. Anyway, or she was one of the lucky ones. I don't know. That wasn't quite chained down. Anyway, though, so my people go in there. My Irish crew goes in there, and they basically discover this thing, and they're like, it don't seem right. So basically, I'm like, well, take them down. So, we have guns from Birmingham, and also like, I'm a gun manufacturer. We make guns. We make Gatlings. We make tanks. Although we didn't have that many tanks back then. Anyway, though, and steam engines. And so, anyway, and great big huge sailing ships. Anyway, though, so they free her. And she's really cool, like really, really awesome. And I'm like building the town. And I invest like 1,000 gold or something in the town. And I'm like, here. And so the Irish go, because Irish are really honorable. Like really, the Irish are really amazing and really good. Like I love them. Anyway, so they give the money over, a box of gold, in Mexico. And I'm like, this is for all the land and blah, 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 blah. And we're going to build a town. Anyway, so I have furniture shipped there. We build a school. All kinds of lumber is going to Mexico. And everyone's laughing because it's a desert, man. There's nothing here. The land is worthless. And I'm like, so it won't be forever. Anyway, and everyone thinks it's a big joke because I'm building a town in the middle of the desert. There's no water. They're like, there's no water here. And you're building a town. I'm like, yep, I'm building a town in the middle of the desert. Yep. And they're like, there's no water here. There's no creeks. Look, they're dry. There's no water in Mexico. They're like, there's no water in Mexico. It's dry in Mexico. They were laughing at me. They're like, where are you going to get the water, man? There's no water. It's dry as a bone. Like, eagle dry. Like, there's not even any plants in Mexico. They're like, there's nothing. It's a desert. And I'm like, so? It might not always be a desert. Anyway, so everyone's laughing at me. Everyone's absolutely laughing at Lucifer Star because I'm building a town in Mexico in the middle of a desert. And they're laughing at me because they're like, it's 250 degrees in the shade. There's no water at all. It never rains here. And I'm like, so? Anyway, so I'm building a town in the middle of the desert, and like, there's no water, and we're actually importing water or something like that by camel or something like that. And I'm like digging a well or digging a mine, basically. Anyway, they're digging along, la 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 la. Anyway, they hit water. So now there's water in the desert. Anyway, a couple of years go by, basically, and this gorgeous, wonderful Senorita Mexico from Spain or whatever is in Mexico. And pretty much I give the town to her because because she's like really influential, and like she's freed, and she gets the women together, and she gets the guys together, and she gets everything. And I'm like, and she also shows me at a later point in time about how there's a slave mine going on. And she's like, they're chained to the ground and they're forced to work and they're whipped. And I'm like, ooh, sounds like we should do something about it. So anyway, they get a bunch of guns and a bunch of other stuff. I have like 4. I think what it was we finished the water, the well, we got everything maybe done, and then I think I gave them the guns, and then we left. We're like, bye! Enjoy the guns! Anyway, though, so we helped out a lot. They go around, they clean up the banditos or whatever, or somebody, the federales or something like that. They kill a bunch of people that are someone else trying to take over Mexico. Because, like I say, once we find water. We find a mine, we find a gold mine, we find a bunch of stuff in Mexico, and it's all going good. And then basically I'm done with it. And like there's slave mines and a bunch of bad stuff going on. So we drop off 4 wagon loads of guns, and then we're like, bye-bye, have fun. And so they take the guns and they go and they free, and there's this other group's trying to take over Mexico now that there's water and gold there. This other group's trying to take over Mexico, but there's all these Mexicans and a bunch of other people there. So this one Mexican girl, goes around and she cleans up the place. And meanwhile, the Republicans are putting all these stories about how this guy is like blah 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 blah, and it's actually a girl. She just named a guy's name, and she's like, "Well, my dad wanted a boy, but he got a girl, so he named me the boy name anyway." So I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So anyway, she didn't really care. She's like, "Well, I figure it could go either way." Anyway, but she says it with a Spanish accent. Anyway, she was a really amazing, awesome woman, and I was like, "You sound really cool. I like you." So anyway, and there's obvious slavery going on. So I basically give them the guns, and basically my Irish and everybody else says, "Okay, bye," and they take off. And they're like, "We'll check back up on you in a couple days." But we leave 4 wagon loads of Gatlings, like 4 Gatlings, some cannon, a bunch of ammo. It's like 4 wagon loads or something like that, or 2 wagon loads of just pure guns. We're like, bye. Anyway, so she distributes it to the men and everything else, and they basically go and free everyone, and then there's a big party, and there's all this partying and stuff like that, because we're basically giving them the town, because I was like, well, I was building it for Mexico anyway. I mean, I made quite a bit here, we'll check back up on you in a couple of years or whatever. We'll see how it's doing. Just pay me some money. Anyway, so she's really cool. So like I say, later on, I'm having this problem with the Republicans and the Republic, basically. So she's like, well, we're going to help you. So a bunch of Mexicans come up, when they invade California, and they basically free up California, and basically I have a bunch of Mexicans on my side, pretty much from Mexico. And that's when they invade California, because like I say, Roosevelt and a bunch of other people are like going down into Mexico and like trying to take over that space, because there's a bunch of gold down there, and the United States is basically untamed, and pretty much there's no mines up here yet, and everything is Panama and Mexico and down that way, or in Europe. But they can't touch Europe, because Europe is like tanks and cars and modern day, but it's just this little area that is America that is basically, there's nothing here, there's nothing but, it was wilderness. Mexico was developed before the United States, then America. America was just, it was like mountains. There's no roads, no nothing. It was unbuilt back in those days. So basically they're trying, because basically, and there's some stuff going on in Texas and stuff. So there's like a port in Texas. Anyway, they're coming down into Mexico, and it's like the Republicans are kind of like hugging against the coast. Anyway, though, all this stuff is going on back in the past, and so, that's basically how it was back then. It was kind of crazy, Anyway. So the Mexicans help me out, and then the Chinese come in and help me with my railroad, because I helped them with their country, and also Russia. And because we were building over there first, then we came across to China, or went up into China, whatever, and then I forget where China is. Anyway, and then we came over here, then we went into Mexico, then we came up to California, then we went across, and then they went over. And there's like New York and everything, and I'm doing some stuff over there. But you know, it's kind of like there's a bunch of groups over there.